On May 12, 2025, the U.S.-flagged cargo ship, the Red Gusta, was crossing the waters off the coast of Somalia. On board were 30 crew members, mostly American and Filipino, along with $275 million worth of technology cargo. This region is notoriously dangerous, a hotspot for piracy and armed groups that exploit security gaps to operate freely. Suddenly, 5 high-speed skiffs appeared, racing towards the Red Gusta at a blistering 47 knots. Aboard those skiffs were approximately 60 pirates armed with heavy weapons, from AK-47 rifles and PK machine guns to RPG-7 rocket-propelled grenade launchers. The scale and armament of this attack far exceeded a typical pirate encounter, leaving the crew completely outmatched by the overwhelming firepower. Facing a critical situation, they had no choice but to retreat to a reinforced safe room, known as a citadel, and send out an emergency distress signal. What would be the fate of the crew? Could they escape the clutches of the brutal Somali pirates? Or would the ship and its $275 million cargo fall into their hands? Let's follow the unfolding events in today's video. Before we begin, please take a moment to support our channel by subscribing, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so you won't miss our other exciting videos. As they approached, the 5 armed skiffs quickly closed in on the Red Gusta's port and starboard sides. A heavy barrage of fire from AK-47s and PK machine guns rained down, leaving the crew with no way to defend themselves. Several RPG-7 rounds slammed into the bridge, starting small fires and damaging the communication systems. 2 crew members were injured while trying to lock down the hatches. The captain immediately activated the emergency protocol. All 30 people aboard quickly retreated into the safe room. The Citadel, a fortified steel fortress, locked from the inside. A distress signal was transmitted directly to the U.S. Navy's 5th Fleet Command. In just 12 short minutes, about 20 pirates had boarded the ship. They quickly took control of the upper decks, but couldn't breach the Citadel. Their goal was to capture the entire crew for ransom, but they were unaware that the Red Gusta had already sent for help. Nearly 200 nautical miles away, the aircraft carrier USS Independence received the distress signal. Joining the rescue operation were the guided missile cruiser Bunker Hill and 2 Arleigh Burke-class destroyers. Rear Admiral Harrington immediately recognized this was no ordinary act of piracy. When the first report came in, the electronic map on the screen clearly showed the Red Gusta's coordinates, along with a steadily flashing red icon, a distress signal. A concerned operations officer said, "We have less than 90 minutes before they take full control and move the ship into Somali territorial waters." The Rear Admiral gave a decisive order. "We're taking that ship, ma'am. The entire crew's safety must be guaranteed. This is not just a rescue, it's a message to the world. American ships are off limits." Immediately, the USS Independence ordered a squadron of F-35C fighter jets to take off, both to establish air superiority and to be ready to suppress enemy fire if necessary. At the same time, the SEAL Team's 6 operators on standby aboard the carrier were urgently summoned. Commanders quickly simulated the situation on a tactical board, identifying insertion points, movement routes, and a plan to breach the Citadel in case the crew had been compromised. The USS Independence increased speed, cutting through the waves as it headed straight for the Red Gusta. On its flight deck, MH-60R Seahawk helicopters were being fully fueled and armed, ready for the raid. At 7:05 a.m., the Seahawk helicopters appeared over the Red Gusta and immediately moved into attack positions. Thermal imaging fed back to the command center showed the pirates were still on deck, having failed to breach the Citadel. They were concentrated midship, guarding the access points to the safe room. The order was given to clear the deck. The Seahawks opened fire with their GAU-17 miniguns, directly suppressing the pirates' main positions. Shortly after, Apache helicopters attacked from above, their 30mm chain guns blasting the pirates' fortified defensive spots. Some of the pirates' support skiffs in the outer perimeter were also engaged as the aerial firepower created an opening. The Seahawks then lowered their altitude to prepare for the deployment of the assault team. The SEAL operators fast roped onto the deck, splitting into 3 assault teams. The first pushed towards the center of the deck, the second secured the starboard side, and the third blocked the access ways down to the Citadel. The top priority was to neutralize any targets who might be planting explosives and to get the crew out safely. The close quarters battle began. The SEALs used short, controlled bursts of fire, quickly overwhelming the pirates and breaking their resistance. The pirates returned fire fiercely, and several operators were hit in their body armor. One officer was wounded by shrapnel. The medic immediately provided on-site first aid as the team continued its mission. Within minutes, the main deck was cleared. The last remaining pirates threw down their weapons and surrendered. The special ops team followed protocol to unlock the Citadel's door, checking the ventilation and security systems. The crew inside was then escorted out and moved to a safe location for medical evaluation. Meanwhile, firepower from the Seahawks and the escort ships maintained pressure on the pirate skiffs anchored offshore, preventing any further action. The report for Phase 1 came back to the command center. Ship secure. Crew rescued. 14 pirates were killed, and another 14 were captured. 2 SEALs sustained minor injuries. The next task was to secure all weapons, document evidence, and begin processing the prisoners for initial intelligence gathering. The scene was quickly cleared and first aid was administered. The SEALs split into smaller groups, meticulously checking every compartment and passageway to ensure no hostiles were hiding and no undetonated explosives were left behind. The all-clear call echoed regularly over the comms channel. In this type of operation, every step requires absolute vigilance. A single mistake could trigger a hidden explosive, turning the entire ship into a minefield. The crew was later transferred to a safe area near the command ship. Exhaustion was visible on their faces. The captain reported directly to the commanding officer, confirming no fatalities among his crew, aside from the 2 who were lightly injured earlier. Meanwhile, the forward interrogation team began a quick debrief of the captured pirates. Some of the pirates admitted they were just mercenaries, acting on orders from a command group on the Somali coast. Their objective wasn't just to demand ransom, but also to send a warning to any U.S.-flagged vessels passing through the area. Data from their confiscated communication devices was immediately sent to the intelligence analysis team to pinpoint the coordinates of the pirates' base. By 8:15 a.m., the Red Gusta's fire suppression system was activated to extinguish the remaining small fires. The engineering team checked the engine and power systems. The preliminary assessment showed the ship was still seaworthy, though it would require repairs in port. Given the situation, the fleet was divided into 2 groups. One team would escort the Red Gusta out of the danger zone to continue its journey, while the other prepared for the next step, to raid the pirate group's logistics base. Once the commanders received the coordinates from the prisoners' testimony, an attack plan was drawn up instantly. The priority targets were a large ammunition depot, fuel tanks, and the skiff mooring area. The screen displayed clear heat signatures corresponding to each target. Analysts marked them in sequence to take advantage of secondary explosions. The decision was made, a phased attack. First, a Reaper drone approached and launched a Hellfire missile at the large ammunition depot. The explosion immediately destroyed the structure, setting off a chain reaction of secondary explosions from surrounding crates and ammo boxes. The domino effect caused a nearby fuel tank to ignite, and the fire spread, engulfing several vehicles in the yard. The secondary blast destroyed temporary structures nearby, creating a larger target zone for subsequent strikes. The command center continuously monitored the situation to ensure any additional targets were compliant with the laws of war and posed minimal risk to civilians. As thick smoke filled the air, the Reaper drones continued to drop GBU-12 laser-guided bombs on reinforced storage facilities in the skiff moorings. The guided bombs obliterated the hardened structures, collapsing storage buildings and mangling vehicle frames. Post-strike imagery showed collapsed auxiliary warehouses, twisted steel frames, and numerous heavily damaged or sunken skiffs. The entire strike was adjusted in real time using sensor data to maximize effectiveness and minimize collateral damage. The area had virtually no anti-aircraft defenses, only a few light machine guns on the coast. They lacked the range and accuracy to stop a Hellfire or a GBU-12. Some of the pirate guards tried to flee the camp, but the ground response was chaotic, disorganized, and completely ineffective. Throughout the attack, information from the drones, satellites, and escort ships was constantly integrated. The command center cross-referenced thermal images with intelligence data, to monitor for any civilian presence in the area and adjusted the strikes as needed. This process ensured absolute safety for civilian structures. A preliminary analysis estimated that over 80% of the targets were neutralized, and numerous attack skiffs were destroyed. Immediately after the strike, an order was issued to maintain surveillance over the area for the next 72 hours to ensure a full battle damage assessment and to deter any retaliatory actions. The final report on the Red Gusta rescue operation was completed. On the human front, all 30 crew members, including Americans and Filipinos, were rescued and safely evacuated. On the enemy side, the direct engagement in the strike on their base inflicted heavy losses. 14 pirates were killed on site. 14 others were captured and handed over to law enforcement authorities. At the coastal base, the UAV airstrikes destroyed or disabled over 80% of the facilities, including the ammunition depot, fuel tanks, vehicles, and a large number of attack skiffs. Numerous communication devices, encrypted radios, and other critical evidence were seized during the arrests, providing direct intelligence on the pirate group's organizational structure and supply lines. Regarding the Red Gusta's property, the ship sustained superficial damage from gunfire and shrapnel, but its main propulsion system was still operational. The vessel was able to proceed under escort, and the high-value cargo suffered minimal damage. The ship continued its journey to its destination port. Regarding information and intelligence warfare, the operation yielded significant value, including communication logs, GPS coordinates of the base, lists of vehicles and personnel, and encryption devices. This evidence proved the attacking group was highly organized, not a spontaneous act by a disjointed band of pirates. This provides a basis for planning future operations and supporting subsequent legal proceedings. On the immediate strategic impact, the swift and overwhelming action created an immediate deterrent effect. In the months following the operation, piracy in the region dropped sharply. Many suspicious coastal facilities were dismantled, and gangs were forced to temporarily curtail their activities. Ship owners and insurance companies noted a significant decrease in risk, leading to a positive economic impact on the shipping route. Finally, from a naval operations perspective, this operation demonstrated the ability to coordinate remote reconnaissance, overwhelming air power, and special operations forces in a confined space, once again affirming that American merchant ships were off-limits to Somali pirates. Looking back at the entire campaign, it was not just a successful rescue, but also clear evidence of the evolution of modern maritime threats. These are no longer the rudimentary pirate gangs of 2 decades ago, using small skiffs to look for opportunistic thefts. Instead, we witnessed an organized force, backed by a coastal base, possessing relatively modern equipment and bold tactics, capable of threatening large cargo ships from leading nations. This event reiterates a reality. Modern maritime security cannot rely solely on conventional patrols. It must account for the possibility of confronting non-traditional armed groups with coordination comparable to that of a military unit. From a tactical standpoint, the operation clearly shows the 3 elements of its success: accurate intelligence, speed of deployment, and overwhelming firepower. Without thermal imaging, satellite data, and intelligence gathered from prisoners, it would have been impossible to pinpoint the coastal base, and the operation would have risked being prolonged or failing due to a lack of information. Without the rapid response from the command center, the deployment of helicopters, UAVs, and SEALs might have been delayed, leading to unnecessary casualties among the crew. And without the advantage of precision firepower, the attack on the coastal base could have turned into a protracted engagement with unpredictable consequences. These 3 elements, when combined, created a clean, decisive, and effective chain of action, the hallmark of a modern military operation. New issues have also been raised. Destroying the rear base with UAVs and remote-guided weapons brought immediate results, but it is only a short-term solution. The base is destroyed, but without intervention in coastal security governance, international cooperation, and socio-economic development programs, when one group is taken down, another will rise to take its place, driven by the enormous potential profits. Therefore, maintaining long-term maritime safety requires a coordinated effort across multiple levels: military, diplomatic, and legal. On the legal and ethical front, The handling of prisoners and battlefield evidence was also a key aspect. The forces involved had to balance firepower with the obligation to comply with international law, ensuring every action was legally justified. This not only protects the image of the forces, but also maintains the legitimacy of every subsequent step. Ultimately, this operation leaves a powerful message of deterrence. The Red Gusta campaign did not end when the guns fell silent, nor with the safe return of 30 sailors. What resonates is a message. Military strength is necessary because in this volatile world, there will always be those who seek to impose violence on innocent people, on ships that carry the hopes and hard work of thousands of laborers. But at the same time, everything that happened also reminds us that guns are only a temporary solution, not the final answer, because somewhere on the coast of Somalia, there are still impoverished villages, children growing up amidst poverty and despair. For them, picking up a gun and boarding an attack skiff is not just about greed, but about having no other perceived path to survival. The root cause of piracy is not found on the ships, but in the developmental disparity between societies left on the margins of globalization. It is there that violence finds fertile ground to grow, and if the world responds only with firepower, new groups will rise from the ashes of the old, creating a vicious, unending cycle. Therefore, a sustainable solution must go beyond military campaigns. It must come from international cooperation, from economic development support programs, from building coastal governance capacity, and from creating opportunities for people to earn a living through legal means. A rescued cargo ship is a victory for today, but a generation of young Somalis finding stable employment and hope for the future is the real victory for tomorrow. The SEALs today return with pride. The crew of the Red Gusta returns to the loving arms of their families. The world sees the powerful response capability of the U.S. Navy, but also the long challenges that lie ahead. Because keeping one ship safe is one thing, but keeping the entire global shipping lane secure is another. That is a responsibility not of one nation, but of the entire international community, where every economy depends on open and safe sea lanes. Finally, if you find videos like this interesting and informative, don't forget to leave a like to let us know you're enjoying the content. Hit that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future videos. Together, we'll explore intense confrontations, learn about modern tactics, and draw valuable lessons from real-world battlefields. Your support is the key that allows us to continue growing and maintaining this channel. Thank you for watching and for your support.